Rediscovering Gita for the Modern World by Shrikant Soman, based on essays on Gita by Sri Aurobindo. Chapter 8 continued. Sankhya and Yoga continued from the previous episode 65. The Gita's foundational principles, a deeper look at Sankhya and Yoga. Current episode 66. The intertwined paths, how the Gita unites Sankhya and Yoga. Gita synthesis of Sankhya and Yoga, a higher form of practice. Beyond dichotomy, the Gita's unified view of knowledge and action. Key takeaways, a unified principle. The Gita presents Sankhya, knowledge, and Yoga action, not as two separate systems, but as two different approaches to the same ultimate goal. They are unified in principle and aim. Yoga as devotion in action, the Gita expands the definition of yoga to encompass the selfless offering of all inner and outer activities as devotion to the divine, going beyond a mere preliminary practice. The digital analogy, Sankhya philosophy is rooted in an analytical digital process of separating being into distinct elements, particularly the dual principles of Purusha, inactive conscious being, and Prakriti, active energy. Purusha's role in creation. According to Sankhya, the cosmic process of creation, preservation and dissolution begins when the inactive Purusha, or soul, consents to reflect the disturbances in the three gunas, sattva, rajas and tamas, of Prakriti. Reclaiming the self-liberation, from the Sankhya perspective, occurs when the Purusha withdraws its consent to reflect Prakriti's activity, allowing the gunas to return to equilibrium and the soul to its eternal immutable state. Gita's idea of yoga is that large idea of principally a subjective practice and inner change. It is necessary for the finding of the self or the union with God. Raja Yoga is only one special application of this system. Gita insists that Sankhya and Yoga are not two different, incompatible and discordant systems. They are one in their principle and aim. They differ only in their method and starting point. For Gita, Sankhya also is a yoga which proceeds by knowledge. In a way, Sankhya starts by intellectual discrimination and analysis of the principles of our being. It attains its aim through the vision and possession of the truth. Yoga, on the other hand, proceeds by works. It is in its first principle Karma Yoga. At this point, the system of Gita departs and develops into a different path. It is evident from the whole teaching of the Gita and its later definitions that the word karma is used in a very wide sense. What Gita means by yoga is the selfless devotion of all the inner, as well as the outer activities, as an offering to the lords of all works. It is offered to the eternal as master of all the soul's energies and austerities. As per the principal philosophy of Gita, yoga is the practice of the truth. Knowledge gives the vision to this truth. The engine of this truth is fueled by a spirit of illumined devotion, of calm or fervent consecration. This devotion is directed towards that which knowledge sees to be the highest. Let us see what the essence of Sankhya philosophy is. Sankhya philosophy is based on analytical process. Meaning of Sankhya is analysis, the enumeration. It is the separative and discriminative setting forth of the principles of our being. Ordinary mind is able to perceive only the combinations and the results of combination, whereas Sankhya philosophy attempts to see it in its distinct and separate elements. Sankhya philosophy did not seek at all its synthesis. In modern terminology, Sankhya philosophy is similar to the digital thinking process, binary system of computing. It has its own advantages and also its limitations. The original standpoint of Sankhya philosophy is in fact dualistic. It is not the same as the very relative dualism of the Vedantic schools called Dvaita. Instead of the Vedantic relative concept of dualism, Sankhya philosophy advocates a very absolute and trenchant separation of existence into two original principles. Its interrelation is the cause of the universe. These two principles are Purusha and Prakriti. Purusha is inactive, whereas Prakriti is active principle. Purusha is the soul. This word is not used in the ordinary or popular sense. It is used in the sense of pure conscious being, which is immobile, immutable, and self-luminous. On the other hand, Prakriti is energy and its process. Purusha on its own does nothing. It only reflects the action of energy, Prakriti, and its processes. Even though Prakriti appears to be mechanical in its essence, as it is being reflected in Purusha, it assumes the appearance of consciousness in its activities. In this way, there are created the phenomena of creation, conservation and dissolution, birth and life and death, consciousness and unconsciousness, sense knowledge and intellectual knowledge and ignorance, action and inaction, happiness and suffering. Purusha, under the influence of Prakriti, attributes all these phenomena of existence to itself. In reality, Purusha is not the source of these phenomena, while Prakriti is. Prakriti is constituted of three gunas, or essential modes of energy: Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas. Sattva is the seed of intelligence. It conserves the workings of energy. Rajas is the seed of force and action. It creates the workings of energy. Tamas is the seed of inertia and non-intelligence. It is the denial of Sattva and Rajas. Tamas dissolves what they create and conserve. When these three gunas, the three powers of the energy of Prakriti, are in a state of equilibrium, all is in rest. In this state there is no movement, action or creation. There is therefore nothing to be reflected in the immutable luminous being of the conscious soul, the Purusha. When this equilibrium of the three modes of nature is disturbed, then the three gunas fall into a state of inequality in which they strive with and act upon each other. This triggers the whole inextricable ceaseless process of creation, conservation and dissolution, and the phenomena of cosmos is born. This process continues so long as the Purusha consents to reflect the disturbance. This obscures his eternal nature. He attributes to it the nature of Prakriti. When he withdraws his consent, the gunas fall into equilibrium, and the soul returns to its eternal unchanging immobility. It is delivered from the phenomena. This process of reflection and of giving or withdrawal of consent seem to be the only powers of Purusha. He is the witness of nature by virtue of reflection and the giver of the sanction, Sakshi and Anumanta of the Gita. However, he is not actively the Ishvara. Even his giving of consent is passive. His withdrawing of consent is only another form of passivity. All action, subjective or objective, is foreign to the soul. It has neither an active will nor an active intelligence. It cannot therefore be the sole cause of the cosmos. This makes it necessary the affirmation of a second cause. Soul on its own, by its nature of conscious knowledge, will and delight, is not the cause of the universe. However, soul and nature are the dual cause of the universe. It is the combo of passive consciousness and an active energy. This is the way Sankhya philosophy explains the existence of the cosmos. If this be so, then the question arises as to the proper place and importance of this conscious intelligence and conscious will. We perceive them to be the very large part of our being. We commonly and instinctively refer them not to the Prakriti but to the Purusha. Sankhya explains that this intelligence and will are entirely a part of the mechanical energy of nature. They are not the properties of the soul. They are the principle of buddhi. They are one of the 24 tattvas, the cosmic principles.